Here we come, blue and white, and we're looking good. You'll be in for a fight, and we fight pretty good. Getting goals is our job, and we get goals good. Looking good, we are Carlisle United.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Brunton Bugle, the number one place to get your Carlisle United fix in the podcast world. I'm Lee Rooney.
And I'm Dan McLennan.
Just over a week to go and the Blues are looking in decent shape for the start of the new League 2 season. We review the 4 friendlies played over the last couple of weeks, discuss the latest signings to arrive at Brunton Park, and chat about what Simona still needs to do in the transfer market over the next month. How's it going, Dan?
Ah, not bad, not bad.
Yeah. Been up to much?
Bits and bobs, working. London for the weekend, yourself?
Got married and all that sort of stuff, you know, went on a honeymoon, all the exciting stuff.
Why not?
Yeah. Went to Sorrento, bought myself what I thought was a genuine Sorrento shirt, find out it's a Jag one. Typical.
It's got the proper badge on, though.
It's got the proper badge on. Apparently, I was looking, my mate Johnny sent me, he's seen an article about it. When I sent him the shirt, he said, "Are you sure that's genuine?" I said, "I think it is." Because there's a little, if anyone's been to Sorrento, there's a little football shop in the middle of the town. And it does sell genuine Napoli, Juventus, Bayern Munich, all kinds of shirts in there. And Italy shirts.
I think they just bought a tourist trap thing, aren't they?
Yeah, so basically it does sell genuine shirts of those, but to try and sort of get the English fans who like to have a shirt of a local team in, they've got a load of shirts done up in Sorrento's colours with the genuine badge on, the Nike ones, but they're not, because apparently someone tweeted and said, "I bought your shirt while I was over," and they tweeted back saying, "It's not our shirt, that."
Yeah.
So yeah, it seems that the shop's a little bit naughty. It's a smart shirt anyway, so it'll do me for now. But yeah, no, I had a nice couple of weeks. Obviously missed the working to friendly because I was actually getting married that day, but, you know. But yeah, it's going along quite well, isn't it, pre-season so far, Dan? I think it's fair to say. Only 1 week to go now, but looking in decent shape. Still stuff to do, but I think we're in a good position for the new campaign, aren't we?
I think we've done it right. You know, we've played the 3 local teams in Penrith, Kendal and Workington, which, you know, they're literally 2 different 11s, 45 minutes each. Workington, some got 60. And then it's sort of up to bit, you know, Morton on the training pitch, Bolton at home, Livingston up in Scotland, and then Morecambe tomorrow. You know, it's a decent level. And you've got to remember, with the 2 Scottish teams, they're a couple of weeks ahead because they're well into their League Cup now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
so
yeah, sorry, go on.
They're like 2 to 3 weeks ahead of where we are. So
yeah, absolutely.
You know,
that's the thing we've got to really consider. The Morecambe one's going to be interesting. We'll touch on it later on, but I kind of feel like Morecambe's, the state of their squad and what they are, realistically, they're probably a top half League 2 squad, really. And the fact that they're staying in League 1 is them basically punching above their weight, isn't it, basically, and how well they do with their manager, Derek Adams. So yeah, I think it'll be a really good test to show actually where we are for the coming season, I think. Because I think Bolton were a better team and we beat them, so, you know, fantastic result that was, I think it's fair to say. Well, before we go on, just a couple of quick bits, obviously. As again, this season, the second half of the show, or in fact the whole show, is being sponsored by the Carlisle United Supporters Club London branch. The London branch is open to all Carlisle United fans. They've got members from Cornwall to Dundee and Houston, Singapore, and of course every part of London and the South East. They regularly meet up on away trips, as well as arranging many social events, sports games and fundraising for the club. They'll be providing us with information for the away games as part of the preview section of Season 2. You can find out more about the London branch at their website, carlisle.londonbranch.org. Another reminder as well, obviously, you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. That'll be Acast. No, sorry, not Acast. Acast doesn't exist more. I keep forgetting. I should remove that, really. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pocket Cast is the one that I use now. If you basically go there, search for the Brunton Bugle, click subscribe. Every time a new episode comes out, you'll get a little alert telling you can download it and listen. And as well as that, if you can give us a review on any of those sites, that would be very much appreciated. And of course, you can follow us on social media at Brunton Bugle on both Twitter and Instagram. I will start posting stuff on Instagram this season, I do promise that. We're on Facebook, just search for the Brunton Bugle, click like, and we're also posting on the Cumbrians.net message board and on the Be Just and Fear Not Facebook group as well, so you can find us there if you want to ask us any questions, anything like that.
I think we should get some new locations off the London branch.
Yes, I'll have a word with him and say where else have you got members of which other
some
random
good
places?
random places? Yeah,
yeah, exactly. I mean, basically, you can join them wherever you live. If you live anywhere in England, if you live in Carlisle, you can technically join them. So
from Tiverton to Timbuktu.
Indeed, that's what we want. Right, before we get into the news, Dan, you said you've got a little question for us for this week's episode, and I'll answer it later in the episode.
Yeah, well, you forced this on me about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Have you got a quiz question for this week? No, I haven't, Lee, but I can make one up.
You always can. You always can.
We have played Morecambe a total of 22 times since they came into the Football League. 8 of these games have been cup ties, be it FA Cup or trophy games. What is the total score in those 8 games? And that's it.
God, you can have. I mean, that's. Oh, so I'll have a think about that one. I'm not going to Google it while we're doing it. I promise you, but that's a tough one. That because some of them I imagine are quite free scoring in the trophy, aren't they? Usually, there's quite a lot of goals in those games. So 8 games, did you say? Yeah.
Yeah.
8 games. Okay, right. Okay, cool. I'll have a think about that as we do the episode. So, first up, we'll do news, and then we'll get into the game, reviewing the games, and just have a little discussion about how pre-season's gone on, and then a few other talking points. Because there's only really one bit of news to cover, isn't there, Dan?
Yeah.
Simo basically made it clear, hasn't he? Obviously, it's a new signing, basically. And Simo's been sort of saying over the last couple of weeks, hasn't he, that his key area for recruitment now is defence, basically. That's why he wants to get at least a couple of faces in, having already brought Ben Barkley in on loan from Stockport. And he's got another man in, isn't he, over the last week, and that is Finn Back. He's joined on loan from, or Finley Back, he's joined on loan from Nottingham Forest, or Notts Forest, if you really want to wind up the Nottingham Forest fans. They absolutely hate that, don't they, if you call them Notts Forest.
It's a big thing between Forest and County, isn't it?
They hate
Likewise, if you say Nottingham County, the county fans, we're not Nottingham, we're not.
Yeah, yep, exactly that. So he's joined on a season-long loan from the Premier League side. Very highly thought of, isn't he, at Forest by something? He played 5 championship games last season, so he's not a lad like a green behind the ears lad who's never played a first team match. Yeah, he was playing in a side that was pushing for promotion to the Premier League last season.
He's clearly been in and around at training, hasn't he? So
yeah, they kept him. They took him on their pre-season training camp, didn't they? And had him involved in a few games, but he's clearly someone they think very highly of. He's very tenacious in the tackle. He likes to get forward, puts the ball into the box. He played right back, right wing back, or he can actually play as a right winger as well, I think. Probably a good sign of where his tenacious side comes from, though, isn't there, Dan? In his dad.
Yeah, his dad is former England rugby union player and 2003 World Cup winner Neil Back. And,
I'm not an expert on rugby union, I'll be the first to admit, but I've heard of Neil Back. And I know he's a very good rugby union player, so... Yeah, it's interesting. He's been tweeted a couple of times, hasn't he, as well? So he's clearly going to be coming up to some of our games to watch his lad play. So, fantastic. It does seem a really good signing, this one, actually, doesn't it? Of all the players we could have got in to cover... Because, effectively, you look at it, we just want a bit of extra cover in that position, which is anything, and someone else challenge for a place. Because Joel Senior is going to be out till, October, November, and Jack Ellis, as well as he did in those few games at the end of last season, he still is only 18, and he's not really played right wing back before he played those couple of games there. So he seems about as good a signing as we could have got, really, in the circumstances, doesn't he?
Yeah, and Joel Senior is expected back sort of October, early November. It's going to take him a few weeks to get up to full speed. Yeah. So, Back's probably got a good clear run up until about Christmas, I would say, which is around the time when you start to utilise your squad. So there'll also be chances for Senior, so... No, it's a good incoming, and yes, it's only a loan, but it's one that's, I think it sort of ticks the boxes a lot more than some of the loans we've had in the last couple of years. It's a position we need. It means we're not relying on a first year pro, from our youth team, which would have been, don't get me wrong, 2 or 3 games, yeah, but a full half season is a hell of a chuck into the deep end. Yeah. And I think it just, I couldn't make the Bolton game last week, but by all accounts, he wasn't too bad.
Well, yeah, I wasn't at the game, obviously. I was still on my honeymoon, but listening from the beach in Toronto, I promise it'll be the last time I mentioned being away on holiday. I was listening to a bit of the game, basically, because I was just chilling there, and I love the fact that James Willis was saying that earlier in the game, the ref was having to have a word with him about his tackles. So, even in a pre-season game, he was getting stuck in, and that's what you want to hear from a lone player, don't you?
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly. If he carries on in that vein throughout the season, I'm sure he'll become a very popular face. So I think it's fair to say. So, yeah, there you go. And I think, again, it's worth mentioning, it's another sign of Simo's contacts from working with the FA, isn't it? Because obviously their manager is Steve Cooper, who was one of the England youth coaches who also won a European Championship he won, or was it a World Cup that he won with one of them?
I think it was a Euros.
Yeah, he won one of them basically, didn't he? But he was in the FA setup at the same time as Simo, so they're good friends, they get on. And I think from what Simo was saying, and when he did the interview with Radio Company, he basically said that, yeah, it's partly my influence, but actually, as much as anything, it's Greg Abbott and him badgering them for 2 weeks. And Greg's the kind of person, he'll just talk to you until you give in sometimes. So yeah, it's really good to see that side of things working. But yeah, another face arrived, and I'm pretty sure we'll probably see another defender coming before the start of the season, or maybe within a couple of weeks of the season starting.
That number 6 shirt's still hanging there, isn't it? Waiting for the name on it.
He wanted an experienced centre-back, didn't he, for it? So it'll be interesting to see whether he gets it or whether maybe Jamie Devitt gets it if he does sign a deal, which again...
I couldn't have Devitt as a 6. Oh, no, that...
You can't
that plays...
6 is a weird number, though, isn't it? Because some people see it as a number from midfielder in the past as well. It's been used as... It's a strange number. I think it should be a centre-back number, I agree with you.
It's a centre-back for me, because 4's a midfielder.
Yeah, it's true, but I'm trying to think back. Steve Bruce won number 4 as well. That's why I've got that in there, basically. So it's an unusual one.
It's certainly not an attacking midfielder's number.
No, but your argument would be, is Devitt an attacking midfielder again these days? He probably sits a bit deeper, but hey-ho. Picking at things here.
Yeah.
Right, well, that's the news covered, basically, unless someone signs while we're recording here. I think
I fully expect one at about 5 o'clock now.
Exactly. You whenever we record, you're always keeping an eye on your phone for your Twitter notifications and all things like that, aren't you? So you can always work out when we're recording, because if someone signs, you can actually go back and look. Oh, they're recording this time. Well, let's review the games then, Dan. Obviously, we weren't at any of these games. It's a bit of a difficult one to talk about, but we'll sort of gloss over a couple. I think we'll focus mostly on the Bolton game, because that seems to be the key one in all this.
Yeah.
But since we last recorded, there's been 4 matches. With the friendly at Workington Reds, where United won 3-0. Training ground friendly against Greenock Morton, which ended a 1-1 draw. The 3-1 victory over Bolton Wanderers at Brunton Park, and a 1-0 defeat to Livingston, which was played at the Scottish National Training Centre at Largs, where United are currently on a training camp this week. So, overall, that game against Livingston's the one defeat we've had in pre-season so far. It's going pretty well. I mean, the Workington one is what it is, isn't it? You go down to Workington, you get a tough test, but generally in the end we win those games. We maybe concede 1 goal, but it's usually 2-1, 3-1, something like that. Yeah, so 3-0, part of the course, really, isn't it? And looking at all the photos and that from the people who were there, it was very warm weather, wasn't it, by the sound of it? Match. It was it certainly was warm. I remember it being quite warm that day on my wedding day, I think it's fair to say. But yeah, yeah, I did. I never mentioned it. But yeah, 2 goals for Ryan Edmondson and 1 for Morgan Feeney, although I think the Feeney one might be an own goal. He doesn't really celebrate it too much, does he? So, but then again, he's not the kind of bloke to go over the top of his celebrations, is he, after that Oldham game we all remember. All in all, just a good run out, that one, isn't it? Really good test. And minutes under the belt, whatever, for the players, so fantastic. The game against Morton, again, we can't really judge too much on this.
There's just one thing I want to mention from Workington. Christian Dennis missed the game because it was his brother's wedding or something, and I think that sort of shows a little bit of maturity in the squad and from Paul Simpson.
Yeah,
because there'd be plenty of managers who say, "No, we're playing a friendly," but he's thought, "No, we've got enough players. Have your day off. It's your brother's wedding. Not your fault. It's now."
Yeah,
and come back, and then he played the next match. It was like, it just gives that idea that there's a bit of unity and respect within the squad already, which is always a good sign.
It's being grown up, isn't it? Some of your hardline managers would turn around and say, "No, you don't. Yeah. You can go to the evening day, but you're not."
Especially from one of your more experienced players, And
it shows a level of trust as well. You say, what? Yeah. I trust you. Your fitness levels are pretty good. You're doing really well.
Yeah.
You have this game off. Other players will have other games off.
Yeah,
it's fine. Gives someone else a chance to impress as well, doesn't it? Really, in that way. So yeah, no, it's good stuff really from some of that, I think it's fair to say. Up next, obviously, United won, Grealish Morton won, played at the training ground. Brennan Dickinson scored this goal, I think. He got the final touch. I have not seen the highlights from this one actually yet, because obviously I was away by this point. So I'm not sure exactly what it was like, the goal, but it sounded like one that Toby tried to claim at first, but then it went to Brennan.
Yeah.
So there you go. Just again, it's just I don't think Simo wanted to actually advertise this game, did he? I think he wanted to just be like a training run out, essentially.
Yeah, but Morton put it up on their socials the week before, and there was rumours that, is that the game that's going to be at Largs? Because obviously Greenock's a little bit nearby, but no, it was on the training pitch at Brunton Park. Well, we've had a few friendlies. I remember watching us play Southampton under 23s on there once. I
remember watching us play a Texas Select 11
on
the pitch. Remember that game? That was in about 2003, was it?
Yeah.
What about them, I think? Can't remember exactly when, but that was a strange game, that was, I think it's fair to say. That was actually when the training pitch wasn't even there. It's where the car park is now.
Yeah, but it was by the East Stand, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, so we won't say much about that game because I don't know too much. I'll skip the Bolton one first, because obviously that's the one we're going to talk about in depth. So we've obviously played the Bolton game, but then this week, while up at the training camp in Scotland, United played against Livingston. Lost 1-0. First defeat of pre-season. Game, obviously, as we mentioned, there's played at Largs at the Scottish National Training Centre. As you made the point at the start of the episode, Dan, don't take too much from this, because Livingston are probably a good 2 or 3 weeks ahead of us in terms of fitness levels. And
I think what Paul Simpson alluded to in one of his interviews was, once the Scottish League Cup had been drawn and the fixtures sort of divvied out, he got the club to approach those clubs who weren't playing.
Yeah.
There was obviously, they have 8 groups of 5.
Yeah.
So there's always a spare team every Saturday or midweek. And Livingston, I think there was Queen of the South, Kilmarnock, Hamilton, Clyde, Livingston, and a couple of us, Peterhead, I can't remember who else.
Yeah, Peterhead, wasn't it?
And I think Livingston had got back and said, yeah, we'll play you. You know, it suits us to keep ticking over. And, big shout out to Livingston and David Martindale for that, There's plenty of clubs that say, no, we don't need that.
Yeah. No, good test for the lads. And from reading the match report, again, I've not watched the highlights of this one, but it sounds like we actually played quite well, and we created plenty of chances, but their keeper had a pretty decent game as well. So
what knackered us was the stop for the water break, because it was on Tuesday, which was the warmest day.
That was a hot day.
And from the highlights, I think we had the better of it, and I think we had a water break, and Livingston came into it and got their goal, and then I think once the subs came on and with the mugginess and the weather, it just sort of petered out a little bit. But no, a good run out, more minutes in the tank for a few of them.
Yep. Well, let's go back a few days then, Dan, to the Bolton game. 3-1 win over the Trotters. Quite an impressive win against League One opposition, isn't it, this really? Because, I mean, they're a team that are expected to be top half at the very least in League One.
I think they'll do well next season. I don't know why. I think they're going to be up there. I do.
Yeah, I mean, for all the fact that he's a bit of an arse sometimes, Everett is a good manager. He clearly knows how to get the team playing decent football. Yeah. They're a team that play a risky brand of football, but,
It's funny because when we drew 3-3 with them on that Boxing Day game, he was 45 minutes from losing that job.
Yeah.
Because they were still about 18th in the league then, weren't they?
Yeah.
And that was the catalyst for their run to promotion.
We really blew it that day, didn't we?
I know. Half time came 5 minutes too early. If we had another 5 minutes,
we'd have got 4 or 5.
We'd have got a 4th and maybe even a 5th. Yeah. And, they wouldn't have come back from 4 to 5. At 3, they still had that chance, but...
I mean, that Santos lad at centre-back as well, who they were raving about before we played him in that league game. He had a stinker in that game back on Boxing Day in 2001. 2000, sorry, was it 2000? No, 2000 wasn't it? Yeah. Sorry, 2020. Sorry. Get my day right in the end. And it's probably fair to say he had a bit of a stinker in this game by the sounds of things.
Yeah. based on when we've played them, I've never been impressed by the lad.
He's got, I think Brunton Parks has a hex on him or something. Doesn't he? Just, as soon as he sets foot on the turf, he just
doesn't
loses
like coming
head.
north, you know.
Ah, very strange, isn't it? But there you go. We were under the cosh a bit early on in this game, but responded well and then took the lead through Ryan Edmondson. Got to say, great work from Owen Moxon to rob Dempsey. It's probably not Dempsey's fault. It was a bad pass from Santos.
Yeah.
But Moxon was really alert, picked up the ball. And what I love about it is he picks up the ball and he's very quickly on the front foot. Right, I'm going to release this Edmondson. And Edmondson, I've said this before, he reminds me of a much better version of Ryan Loft in that he's a big lad, but he's actually got a bit of pace about him. He's not a slouch. And he got away from the defence. And he could have squared it to Gibson for an easy tap-in, but he backed himself.
He's a striker. He's always going to go, isn't he?
I genuinely think if he could get off to a good start, he could be a really big goal scorer this season for us. I really
There
really
is shades of like Charlie White type.
Yeah, I think you've got it right there. I think Charlie White actually we have a little bit more pace than White had. That's the thing that stands out to me. So yeah, great finish. Couldn't really grumble about that. Doubled the lead before half time. Corner from the right from was it Moxon took this corner? I think he took most of the corners, didn't he? I think. A little bit overhit, but Mellish did well to keep it alive. And then he's having a shot here, isn't he? He's blatantly having a shot. He absolutely hammers a volley across goal. It is a cross shot, basically. And Ben Barkley, very alert, throws himself at the ball, heads it into the back of the net from a few yards out. Bolton back in the game after the break. Penalty after Dickinson brought down Dempsey. Dispatched by... who was it scored for? Was it Morley scored for? It's a lad this side from Rochdale, isn't it? I think scored the goal. I can't remember what his name is. Nah, mine's gone blank.
I'm just Googling it. Hang on.
What's his name? Is it not Aaron Morley? Is it?
Morley, yeah.
Oh, Aaron Morley. Well, there you go. Got it right. Yeah. So there you go. Morley scored the penalty. Lead that reduced lead didn't last too long though. United made it a 2-goal gap again. Again, great play by Moxon, playing Gibson through down the right. Gibson does the right thing, tries to play it back to Dennis. The defender blocks it and then tries to clear it, and Santos got in the way. And basically charged down by Santos from the clearance landed very nicely to Dennis, and he just swiped a foot at it and it went in the back of the net, and 3-1 win. Great result, really, all round, really. And after that, we could have actually made it 4 or 5. So it's, maybe a little bit of worry for Bolton, but for us, take all kinds of confidence in that, don't you?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, we've beat a team who are expected to do well in League One next season. You know, like I say, United's teams are never slouches, and I think we can be happy with what we did. You know, we've scored goals. We've only conceded through a pen. There's been, some good performances. A couple of strikers have scored goals. The midfield's provided. It's all good signs, you know.
Yeah, definitely. One more comment before we go into this general discussion thing. Obviously, watching the highlights from this game, some of the photos from it, the strip's growing on me a little bit. Not enough for me to not think that it's the wrong colour, but I'm almost at the level I can tolerate it. But it's still the wrong colour. Still the wrong colour.
Nah, not for me.
So I'll keep saying that. There you go. Right, well, let's have some sort of general discussion then, Dan, about pre-season, how it's gone, and maybe sort of a little look ahead to the Morecambe this weekend. I mean, all in all, how would you sum up how you think pre-season's gone so far?
Well, I think no serious injuries, apart from Taylor Charters is out for a bit.
Shame that for him.
Disappointment for him.
I think Fishburne as well, very unlucky getting an injury right at the start as well.
Yeah,
which didn't help him.
But the likes of Patrick and what have you, it's just niggles. Devitt had one at the start. I mean, hard ground training, the weather. There's always going to be little aches and pains.
Yeah.
But no, it seems, we've had a very organised pre-season, something we haven't always had under some managers in previous times.
Well, on that point, before you go any further, I mean, last season we played against Halifax at home in the final pre-season friendly, and it was a Halifax trialist team, basically, for most of it. I mean, that was a shambles. That was announced at the very last minute. There was the organisation levels, considering we had a director of football to do that for us, was pathetic, really. This summer, it seems like when you have someone like Simo there, it's all sorted. And actually, the level of games we're playing is just about right, I think.
Yeah. like you say, I mean, Bolton and Morecambe, they're both League One opposition.
Yeah.
I know it's hard saying that about Morecambe, no disrespect to them. But and the two Scottish teams, like we've said a couple of times already, we know they're already 2 or 3 weeks ahead of us. So, yeah, it's I've been quite happy with it so far, and let's see what happens tomorrow at Morecambe.
One thing that seems to stand out is how, I mean, something Simo said he wanted, wasn't it, from the squad, is he wanted their fitness levels to be a lot stronger than they were last season. He wanted them to be at a higher level than they were. And that does seem to be the case. We do seem to be really getting good at pressing and, you know, keeping out teams and going at them. Like at the Bolton game, for instance, it seemed like the last 20 minutes or so, we were having a real go at them still. You know, we were really getting at them. Two of the players have actually said, haven't they, that this is, you know, some of the toughest pre-seasons they've had. I mean, John Mellish has certainly mentioned it, hasn't he? I mean, if John Mellish is thinking it's tough, then it must be bloody tough because, you know, he's a machine and you know how running he does. I thought Christian Dennis's comments were really interesting. Well, about he's talking about he thinks we're going to be the fittest team in the league next season.
And I think the thing from that is Christian Dennis is an experienced pro. You know, It's probably his 13th, 14th pre-season. When experienced pros are talking like that, you know they're, you know, obviously doing the work because they're not going to go, oh, it was hard work like a young lad might who's not used to it. Someone who's done that many pre-seasons saying it clearly is, isn't it? You know. Yeah,
it seems that Simo's giving a lot of credit to Jamie Roper for that, hasn't he? The fitness, strength and conditioning, is it? And fitness, I can't remember his exact title. He's the fitness coach essentially, and the regime he's put together for the players in pre-season. And interesting, one thing Dennis said was that I think it was the game against Penrith. And obviously they wear the GPS monitors now, don't they? So, you know, they look like a sports bra, basically. You'll see them when the tops off at the end of games and stuff. Now, he said that they were analysing the stats after it, and they said to Gibson and to Dennis, you've not done enough of these sprints or these things like that. You need to go out and do some more runs on the pitch after the game. So it was just them two outdoing them because they were the only two who didn't hit the levels, apparently. And he said, yeah, he didn't have a problem with that. He said, yep, because he knows it's going to keep his fitness levels up to the right level.
Yeah.
So it's just, it all feels like it's really well planned and organised. And
it's also a bit of a winner's mentality for me.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, the need and the wanting to do it, you know, to make sure you tick the boxes, it bodes well. It bodes well.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. But yeah, no, it was really good to see. And obviously they've been up for the training camp this week in Scotland, haven't they, at Largs? And Simo made some interesting comments about that, didn't he, in terms of team building? Said he wasn't interested in all these things where you go constructing rafts and bridges and things like that. I don't care about that. It's about the football side of it. So
yeah,
probably fair to say.
I think his thing was they'll get to know each other on the evenings when they're bored.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Now, certainly fair to say he probably wouldn't be a fan of Cassius Camps. Is it probably?
Yeah,
that's a throwback, isn't it? Cassius Camps. Blimey, there you go.
Does anyone know if that black drink's still available?
God, that charcoal thing. God, remember that?
That was one of the biggest weird things, and there's been plenty of them at Carlisle United.
Yeah,
that was just that was blatant usage of our football club.
Yes, to promote something, but let's probably leave that there, shall we?
Yeah.
Goals wise, good to see all the strikers chipping in with a few goals, though, isn't it? Obviously, Edmo's the one who's obviously leading the way. He seems to be scoring in most games. Christian Dennis, though, seems to be getting, and the goals he's scoring, we've said this before, Dan, very Ian Stevens-esque, aren't they? Snibbers goals, he's in good positions, good finishing.
Yeah.
He seems to have a really good understanding with Owen Moxon as well, as does Edmondson, which is really good to see. And Toby's chipped in with a few goals as well. Obviously, he's maybe not played as much in the last few games. He's been a bit more of a sub as we start to settle down towards the team, but he seems to be still enjoying himself. So it does bode well, though, doesn't it? Because you sometimes have these pre-season where not all your strikers are getting goals, are they? But Owl Arve seem to be.
Yeah, and like we say, you mentioned Moxon there. It seems like the midfield are connected with the forwards, which is something we struggled with in recent seasons.
Yeah,
you know, it's never quite been there. You know, and it's again, it's all shaping well. You know, it is.
Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned their strikers. Obviously, they're doing pretty well. I'm not going to put this down in the room, Dan, but I'll bring it up anyway. Midfield. It seems we've got plenty of good options at the moment, doesn't it, really? I mean, Moxon seems to be pinning down a place potentially for the start. Callum Guy seems to be getting back to the levels we know he's capable of. We've probably not seen quite much of Sonny Hilton yet. We've only seen flashes, but maybe that's the way he's going to be, bled into the team. Basically, it'll take a little while to settle down, but eventually, come September, October, you'll start to see a real player there. There's other players who've done jobs there. I mean, Gibson seems to be settling into a different sort of role in the middle.
Dickinson.
All seems pretty good there, doesn't it? Dickinson as well. Obviously, Dickinson probably playing more as a wing back. We'll maybe touch on them in a sec. But yeah, they seem to be doing very well.
Good to have a competition, it's something else Paul Simpson's mentioned in recent interviews about how we've got people battling for positions, going further back on the pitch, defence. He highlighted Corey Whelan. Yeah, Corey Whelan came on for Feeney in the Bolton game when he got a knock on the head, which was nothing. It was just precaution.
Yes, yeah.
But he said that Whelan really slotted in well, and he's been impressed with him because he didn't know much about him, and he's liking that. He's at the moment we've got 4 centre backs vying for 3 places. So someone's going to be disappointed come a week on Saturday. But it seems that the attitude in the camp is that whoever misses out will be happy for the others. So.
Yeah, you mentioned Brendan Dickinson. It does seem like he's going to be the left wing back at the moment, doesn't it? Because Armour's maybe not played as much in pre-season as you'd hope.
I think Armour played midweek though, didn't he?
Yeah, I suspect the ones who didn't feature as much against Bolton probably featured a bit more than that, didn't they? But it does seem like at the moment Dickinson's maybe ahead of him. Maybe that's the position Simo does see him. I mean, there was issues maybe. Some people said that Dickinson's fitness levels weren't quite right towards the end of last season, but maybe with this new fitness regime, you might actually start to see the best out of him at left wing back because he's got a hell of a cross into the box, hasn't he?
Yeah, and like I said about Armour at the end of last season, he's played a hell of a lot of football.
Yeah, he has.
So while he'd be disappointed not to maybe start, he'll certainly get plenty of opportunities, especially with the 5 subs as well.
Yeah.
If Dickinson does fade a little bit on anything, there's a chance that we can bring, Armour on, and Jack Armour can get up the pitch. It's not a bad option off the bench. With 25 minutes to go.
And maybe you could, I think you mentioned it before. You could maybe start to work towards him being a centre back. To challenge John Mellish for a place in a back three.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this for a couple of years now. I think he's. I genuinely think he will morph into a centre back in time because he's quite a big lad. He's a tall lad. He's quite athletic, and I just think as the years go on, he will sort of go more into the centre. Yeah. But again, it's good we've got the competition there.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to
both of them will know whoever starts. He chucks a couple of bad games in. Paul Simpson will have no qualms about swapping them round.
No, absolutely. Do you think he's getting close to his preferred starting 11, Simo, from the teams he's picked? I mean, if you're going to guess what it was as well, after you've answered that, what 11 do you reckon it'll be?
Well, he's basically said that 3 at the backs, 3 central defenders is his thing. Yeah. That's what he's worked towards. I would suggest at the moment, barring any signings, you're going to have Thomas Hawley in goal.
Yeah, that's nailed on.
I think you'll have Barkley on the right of the 3, Mellish on the left, and Feeney in the middle.
Yeah.
I think Back and Dickinson will start on the right and left. Yeah. I think your midfield 3 will be Guy, Moxon.
I think it's going to be Gibson to start, I think he'll stick with
possibly
Gibson,
but it wouldn't surprise me if Hilton going to go.
I have a feeling he's going to, like I said, I think he's going to ease Hilton into the team. I don't think you'll see him starting at the start. I think he'll be more.
And I think for the 2, you're probably, assuming fit, Patrick and Edmondson to begin.
Yeah.
If Patrick isn't fully fit, I think Dennis starts.
Yeah, which does sort of change the way you play, though, doesn't it? Because if Patrick plays, you've got someone who can run off the last man and run in behind. If it's Dennis, Edmonton's role changes a little bit in the team, doesn't it? He has to be a bit more the target man. I know he'll be a target man for both, but he'll have to change the way he plays, basically, won't he?
Also, if Gibson and Patrick do start, you do have the option of both of them going to more traditional wide positions in a front three.
That's the reason why I think he'll stick with Gibson, because he allows him to potentially change the team in game, basically.
Where we'd almost be a 5-2-3 as opposed to a 5-3-2.
Yeah,
or a 5-4. You could call it 5-4-1, couldn't you?
Yeah, or basically you're more of a sort of 3-4-3, aren't you? Basically, is what you're looking at potentially in the end. So it does give us plenty of options. It's quite exciting to think. I think you've got it spot on actually in terms of the team. I can't see it being much different to what you've said. Like I said, the only one maybe is the discussion about Hilton and Gibson possibly, and
or Devitt.
Or possibly Devitt. You know,
which sort of brings us on to the next point in the lineup on the running order.
The Devitt question. I mean, he's proved his fitness surely by now. He played 90 minutes against Livingston. He's touch wood. He's not picked up any injuries yet. Obviously, that one early on, but you can have it, like you've said before, you can have little niggles during pre-season. It's fine. Surely, maybe he just needs to get through half an hour in this game against Morecambe, maybe. Presuming he's not. I presume he won't start against Morecambe because he'll probably go for a fairly strong 11 for this. I think he'll go for his first choice. Let's say he gets through half an hour through that. He's fine after that weekend. 1 year deal, surely.
You've got to make a decision out of fairness to the lad soon as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen. I don't think he'd keep him this long if he wasn't.
I think I'd be surprised if it didn't now.
Yeah, I think it's got to that point.
Yeah, and I think there's a deal to be done. You know, it could be slightly less wage, more when he plays, which I think he'd be happy with. And you know, Paul Simpson has said a couple of times about, you know, what a good influence he is round the camp. Mm-hmm. You know, he's a senior player. He's respected. He knows half of them. Well, knows them all anyway. You know, I think there's room for him. I do. And
as you've mentioned previously, the 5 subs thing this season, for me, it's a no-brainer to have him there, because if you're later on a game and you're 1-0 up, and even maybe say you have a man sent off and you want to shore things up a little bit, bring him on because he keeps the ball. He's tenacious.
He's got the nous, hasn't he? He's got the nous.
Yeah, exactly. And he's a good set piece taker as well. If you want to put him on later in a game for free kicks and corners. I know Moxon's taking a few, but you know, we all know how good Devitt is on set pieces. So there's another option. I'd be surprised if it didn't happen. Let's just put it that way anyway.
Yeah.
Before we move on to asking about where we need to strengthen, just a couple more things to talk about. You mentioned there Moxon. What a good job he's done. Coming in from non-league football, working as a van driver for, was it UPS I think he was working for?
Yeah, yeah.
And he doesn't look out of place, does he? He looks, I mean, Simmer's mentioned that he's had some tough days in training, but every player has them.
Yeah.
But he seems to be playing with a level of confidence you normally get from a player who's coming from that level.
From the highlights I've seen, you wouldn't think he only met Callum Guy 5-6 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's again, it bodes well. He's like a duck to water, and it's always good to have a local lad in the team who just gets it, you know.
Yeah, especially someone obviously who's grown up as a fan, whose friends are all fans and go to the games. You know, that can make a difference, doesn't it? You know, they know the people who are there, so it's fantastic to see, really. Just looking through as well other points to talk about in terms of players. You mentioned Corey Whelan's doing really well as well in pre-season, which is good to see. Nick Bilardo is someone who's been picked out by Simo and mentioned a few times, isn't he? Second year YTS striker. I think he scored, 20-30 goals last season for the youth team. He seems to maybe have got ahead of Fishburn slightly, and that might just be a bit of bad luck for Fishburn because of the injury. I was just going
to suggest that very possibility. You know, Fishburn having a bit of a niggle could maybe a loan do him a world of good. A couple of months out on loan.
I've said this to you before. I'd send him on a half-season loan to Gateshead now.
Yeah,
let's get in there, see how he does, and if it's going well and we don't need to bring him back, let him stay there for the season.
Gateshead, York, Halifax, there's plenty of teams, you know.
They'll be looking for strikers, and you know, maybe those. I don't necessarily want him to go somewhere where he's definitely going to start every week. You want him to go somewhere where he's, you know, at least going to be on the bench, but he's got to fight for his place. That's what you want. You want to see how does he cope when he's not going. Like, if he goes back to Lancaster, it's a waste of time. Yeah, he'll score goals there. It's pointless.
No disrespect to Lancaster, it's too lesser level, isn't it?
Yeah, he needs to be testing at a higher level now. But on to Bilardo, he seems to be a little bit of a different. I think he's a little bit more of a mobile player than Fishburne was. But Simmers mentioned the fact that it sounds like at the start of the season he might well be involved on the bench a little bit, which suggests he might not be long with like Fishburne before he gets a deal, possibly, because he seems to be doing really well, doesn't he?
Mm. Yeah, again, it shows that for these young lads, the rewards are there if we put the work in. You know, it's good to see another one coming through.
Yeah, of the other young lads, I mean, you'd expect maybe Kilsby to be going out on loan, possibly, wouldn't you? I think wouldn't be too surprising. Although actually, maybe Kilsby might stay a little bit because he was still a bit short in defence. But Lewis Bell needs to get a loan spell, doesn't he? As well, I think he needs to get out some play football. There's no point in him staying around and not featuring. So
no.
So yeah, hopefully he can sort something out. I mean, I'm just trying to go back through the lineups here from
the one of the. I think Scott Simons is slightly behind Gabe Breeze.
Yeah, well, Breeze has been on the bench, hasn't he? And I think
Simons could probably do for a bit of football.
Yeah, if I remember rightly, can he potentially play with the youth team in some games though for a bit, Simon?
Yes, but I'm sure they've got two more keepers. I'm sure they're overstocked on keepers.
Yeah, they had an issue, didn't they? Because they had two basically with the same age, which the Simons and Breeze, didn't they, for a bit? So that was one of the problems they had. But there you go. I mean, so yeah, I think we could talk about most of the squad. Barkley seems to be slotting in very well as well, doesn't he? For lad who's just come in, and obviously a lot of people visually like, oh, he's just going to be backup. Well, it looks like he's potentially going to slot in his first choice right side centre back, doesn't he? So yeah, doing very well, young Barkley. Okay, well, before we get on to talk about the X-Files and wrapping up today's episode, Dan, where else do you think we need to strengthen? I think Simmer obviously has mentioned the fact that he wants another defender. Do you maybe want to get another striker in potentially as well?
Well, like we said, the 6 shirts hanging there, no name on it. You know, I think another defender comes in at some point.
Yeah. We've still got a month to go, though, haven't we? That's the thing. You've got to remember.
Who it is, we don't know yet, but I'd be very surprised if we don't get one in.
Can I say I'd be very surprised if it's Dinel Simiyu as well, because a lot of people keep bagging on about this. He's not coming back.
Yeah, well, there's a picture floating around today of apparently a delivery's being made for him at Brunton Park.
Amazing.
He's probably just not updated his address.
Yeah, that's what
don't get us wrong. I'd love it to be a sign is coming, but until we hear something, I don't think we should get too excited.
I'd love to be proved wrong with that, but I just cannot see it. I think Southampton are looking to get into it. They paid good money for him. They're not going to send him to another League Two again for another season, are they? So
no. I'd still maybe look for one in the middle of the park.
Even if we get Devitt?
That's the thing. If we get Devitt, I mean...
If you get Devitt, you've then got Guy, Moxon, Hilton, Devitt, all centre midfielders. You've also got
Gibson and Dickinson can play
there if really needed. I'd rather not Dickinson playing there, if I'm honest. That's no slating him, but you know.
At a push, the likes of Whelan and Back can cover there. John Mellish can push up to be a defensive mid as well, you know. So, I don't know. Another striker. The problem we're going to have getting another striker in is essentially they'll be told they're coming in as third or fourth choice.
Yeah.
Because Patrick and Edmondson start, and if one of them doesn't, Dennis probably does. And Toby's more than worth his weight in the 18.
Yeah, he's going to be coming off the bench, isn't he? So it's one of those ones you look at. It's difficult, but with those 5 subs, it does offer more options, doesn't it, in terms of bringing players in line?
Definitely.
But then at the same time, it sometimes makes it more difficult to get players from other clubs, doesn't it? Because the other clubs go, well, we can use them as one of our 5 subs now. So
I think with strikers as well, we've got the Fish and we've possibly got Bilardo, as we just said.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So I would rather us try and utilise our own young lads.
Yeah.
Then bring in the likes of your Brad Young or your Omatoy, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, would you maybe look at getting a keeper and then to back up?
I think with the keeper, we're covered by the fact that you're still allowed to load one in.
Yeah, well,
because Breeze and Simons haven't played enough, so...
That's true. I suppose you just say, would you want to get Simons out on loan so you're covered in that way, but you don't actually have to do, I suppose. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. We could obviously wait on that, but then part of me thinks I'd rather have someone ready to just come in and not someone who's coming in last minute, but then maybe you back Breeze. Well, I'd certainly look to play Breeze in some of the cup games in the trophy we don't talk about. At the very least, get him some game time of some sort.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think overall we're in a good position, and I think Simo's quite comfortable. And Simo is absolutely right in what he says in that we don't want to do it all in one transfer window. Yeah, you might find come January he might decide, well, actually, this lad's not going to make it now for us. Move them on and get another player on in different positions. You may look at someone, for instance, this is just thrown out there, someone like a Jack Army might say, you know what, he needs to go somewhere to get more game time if he's not playing as much, and replace him. He might say the same about someone else. I don't like, Corey Whelan might say to him, you're not playing as much, let's get someone else in. Things will change in January as well. That's what we've got to remember. We can't get too excited and think that we've got to have our set squad done now. Things will change over the season, and I think Simo's very comfortable. And as Simo said, it's a long-term project. It's not a one-season fix. And I think we need to be very careful to be a bit more patient on that, don't we, having as a fan base?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing we do. I mean, you look at some of the pre-season predictions, Dan. You've obviously done the 1-4-4-4-2, haven't you, on behalf of the Bugle? And,
the new 4-4-2 was out a few days ago. They do the season preview every year, and I have penned some words. They have got one wrong. They've changed the return of the Brunton pasty into the return of the Brunton party, when it's always a party in Brunton Park.
As everybody knows.
We just need some pasties to make the party.
Indeed. Yeah, so I think it was a fair preview. I think it's fair to say, Dan. They've got us in. Was it 16th place?
16th, I think it was. I think when Saturday comes, 17th. I think it was.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to probably all say about that position. I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're not going to know that we've got what the miracles that Simo can perform, are they? So. So there you go. It's interesting, actually. I did have a read through. I bought a copy this afternoon, actually, before we started, and I was having a little flick through. And there's a question, isn't it? Which opposition player do you hate the most? And I think about 80% of the clubs in League Two have said Harry McCurdy. So it's not just the clubs he used to play for they're hating. Even Crew said it, and Crew didn't play against them last season, I don't think. So,
yeah.
So that tells you what you need to know. He's not going to be Mr. Popular again, is he? I think it's fair to say.
Was he not at Crew on loan?
He was at Crew on loan at one point as well, to be fair, so that probably explains that. He's obviously been at Port Vale and stuff like that, but literally every club was basically saying, can't stand Harry McCurdy. Yeah. Even the Swindon fan said, Pantomime Villain, it's Harry McCurdy. Whoever he's going to be playing for, whether it's us or someone else. So they certainly know. But yes, it'll be interesting to see where people predict us to finish. Obviously, we'll have all the newspaper ones come out very soon as well, I think. So
the Racing Post big kickoff's out on Monday, which is always a popular one. So
that will be an interesting one to read as well. But obviously we'll be doing our preview episode soon. We'll talk about that at the end of the episode, what we've got coming up. But I'm reasonably confident. I think we can at the very least finish top half.
Oh yeah.
And have a good run in the cups, and I would take that now. I'd take that as good progress, and then you say, right, finish top half next season, then right, we want to finish top 7, top 3 season after. We want to really kick on and do good. That's the target, isn't it? There you go. Right, well, before we do the X-Files, let me have a guess at this aggregate score then from your question, Dan. So 8 games you said, right?
Yeah, 2 in the FA Cup, 6 in the trophy.
6 in the trophy, okay. FA Cup, there was a... Why do I have a feeling there was a 3-3 draw somewhere in there? I have Right, I'm going to go 16-15 in United's favour.
Carlisle United 15, Morecambe 7.
7, is that it? Oh, mind you, we probably won quite a lot of those, didn't we? I didn't even think
we've had, starting a trophy game that was 2-2 at Morecambe. Mm-hmm. We drew 2-2 up here in the cup and won 1-0 down at theirs in the replay. We then had a 0-0 in the trophy. We had a 2-0 win at theirs in the trophy and a 3-2 win at home.
A 3-2 one was I was thinking of, yeah.
We had a 3-1 loss at Morecambe in the trophy.
Famously, that was Stephen Presley's last game in charge, wasn't it?
Yeah, Jared Branthwaite scored our goal. Yeah, more on him, surely.
Yes, yeah.
And last season, we apparently won 2-0 there, but I don't know, I didn't look.
No, don't know what you're talking about. Well, there you go. That's answered that question for us. Let's do the X-Files then, Don. A few to fit in this week, haven't there? Obviously, you've just mentioned his name there. Let's talk about Jared Branthwaite and his big move.
No money for us, so.
No, well.
But this is a seriously good move. A season-long loan to PSV Eindhoven. He'll be playing Champions League football. He'll be playing at Ajax, Feyenoord, various other grounds. This will have come about. Marcel Brands, who was at Everton, was he director of football at Everton?
Yes, when they signed Branthwaite from us.
Yes, he's in at PSV now, and he's obviously said to them, "Look, you've got a few defenders. You want him to play. You want him to play at a decent level. Come to Holland." And I'll tell you something. Fair play to Jared for having the balls to go and do it. You know, going abroad. I mean, he's still only a young lad.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
Best of luck to him. I am actually a member of PSV Eindhoven. I've got a friend who's a season ticket holder, so I might try and get out to a game, like a Champions League or Europa or something.
It'd be fantastic to see him playing in that, wouldn't it? I mean, for his long-term future, I think it's just a brilliant move. It's so much better than going to a Championship club, I think. And that's no disrespect to any Championship club that are after him. But he's going to learn a different style of coaching and football, which should make him... And you know what? We all know what kind of a player he is, aren't we? He's very good on the ball. You know, he's going to flourish, hopefully, playing.
He'll suit the Dutch league.
Yeah,
he will suit the Dutch league.
But he's got the physical side as well, so he can cope with that.
Especially playing for a team that is always top three.
Yeah,
you know, it's usually Ajax, PSV, and Feyenoord up there with the odd shout for the other teams. But he's going to be playing in games where PSV are expected to win, and once they get the goal lead, they generally win, which will give them a lot more freedom on the ball.
Yeah.
So
I was just checking out because I thought, obviously, usually a big name who's manager of the clubs. Do you know who the PSV manager is right now?
I do.
Ruud van Nistelrooy. I didn't even know that. Wow, that's a big name to be learning from as well. Fantastic.
Certainly is, isn't it?
But yeah, it's a great move because, if he has a fantastic season, he either goes back to Everton and starts playing regularly for them, we get money from him playing for them, or there'll be big clubs across Europe taking a look and going, this lad's a serious talent.
Who's this lad? Yeah.
Let's pay 20, 30 million for him. If we've got at least, let's say we've probably got 20% selling, haven't we? Imagine. There's potentially 4-6 million. We've talked about the Henderson selling. We're going to get that before him.
He becomes the new Dean Henderson very quickly, doesn't he?
We're going to get that probably before him. But I do know for a fact when Everton signed him, there were Bundesliga clubs watching him. Yeah, they had scouts watching him. From what I can gather, RB Leipzig might have been one of them. I think they were looking at him as someone they could potentially, they like to sign young talent and build them up and sell them on. They were definitely watching him. So big European clubs know what he's about.
Yeah,
he's a name.
And he's got a platform now to show it.
Hey, as well, if he has a good season.
Yeah.
Hey, and then depending on how things go in the World Cup, Gareth might have a look and go, this lad's worth a look after the World Cup. I think he's not going to get into the World Cup squad, but you never know for the Euros. He could be in contention. So brilliant move for Jared. Really pleased for him. Bit more in depth than we normally do on the
we should probably have done that one in the news, to be honest.
Yeah, but it's we like to keep the format, don't we? There you go.
Right, we won't talk as long on these ones. James Trafford has signed a new 4-year deal at Man City. Obviously, he's at Bolton on loan for the season.
So he can enjoy his ice cream, as John Coleman managed to get out of him for the interview.
Yeah.
I did very much enjoy John going after all the the outlets that basically recycle other people's stories for their own profits and basically saying, do you want to credit who that story came from originally?
Yeah.
So like the Lad Bible and stuff like that. But there you go.
Peter Grant joined Clyde FC on a permanent deal.
There's a blast from the past.
He's a blast from the past. Josh Morris
Yeah.
has signed for Motherwell after leaving Salford.
Yeah, it's had a 2-year deal with them, I think.
Yeah, I'm just checking now if he played last night in Europe. Because Motherwell played last night. Where are we? And they actually got beat 1-0 at home. Yes, he started. They got beat 1-0 off Sligo. That's a bad result.
Well, Sligo's where we got Jordan Gibson from, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll go back to the page, right? Marcus Dewhurst, he's one who hasn't kicked on, isn't he? Scunthorpe on a season-long loan deal from Sheffield United.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that
he needs to be playing games quick.
I think Beach asked that one up, didn't he? Really, that
Yeah.
he brought him on loan with the intention. He brought him on loan, didn't he? When he first came in as manager, and I think the idea was once we got close to being safe, he was going to replace Colin for those final games with him coming on loan the next season.
Yeah.
Obviously, COVID happened, didn't get a chance to play him at all.
Yeah.
And then come the summer, we signed Norman and what's his name? Farman. But then, obviously, Norman picks up his injury and he brings Dewhurst on loan, but then Norman comes back a bit quicker than expected.
Yeah, yeah.
We obviously remember that FA Cup game and we made that incredible penalty save in the shootouts. But, but yeah, never really got that chance, did he, in the end, sadly? So, good luck for the lad.
Yeah. Tom Lawrence signed for Rangers on a free transfer from Derby. That's a good move for him.
Very good move.
He'll play plenty.
Yeah.
Olafella Olamola has joined Wildstone in the National League on a free after leaving Hartlepool.
Yeah. Did we? I'm just thinking. I haven't put it in here, but did we cover Magnus Norman last time? I don't know if we did we?
No, but he signed for Oldham, didn't he?
Yeah, he signed for Oldham. Sorry, it's probably one I've missed somehow. But yeah, I mean, you know, as much as we know, sort of, not so much mock, but we're like, well, why has he turned down the new deal with us when he left? That's a pretty good move for him because he probably played regular football there. And as Ian, who's someone we both know, said to me, John Sheridan's generally quite a good judge of goalkeeper signings. So yeah, good move for Magnus.
A little bit of management coaches. Eric Kinder has joined Indian Super League outfit Bengaluru FC as assistant coach to his old pal Simon Grayson.
Brilliant move. I love that.
Yeah. And he's a great blast, this one.
Yeah.
Jamie Robinson is a first-team coach at Notts Forest now.
Yeah, he had a role at the FA, didn't he? He was doing some coaching roles there, and he's gone to Forest to back up, to be one of the coaches under Steve Cooper. So really, really good move for him. Just on Eric Kinder there, I just got to say as well, anyone who knows Eric will know as well, Eric's a huge cricket fan. So he's going to love it out there in India. He'll be absolutely loving it. Yeah. He'll be at the in IPL games and all that.
We've got a goal. We've got our first goal of the season.
Yes.
I don't think we had one last time, did we? Josh Todd scored for Queen of the South.
That's it. Thank you. I couldn't remember who played for, and I didn't have time to write it down in the running order.
In a 3-0 win over Ayr last week. So goal for him. And also staying in the Scottish League Cup, Steve Swinglehurst got in the team of the round for Annan. Annan have won the group. You know,
they've done brilliant, haven't they?
Really well.
And considering they've obviously, we know they've lost Moxon, but they've lost 2 or 3 others, haven't they?
Yeah,
in pre-season as well. So really fantastic work Peter Murphy's doing there. You wouldn't be surprised if bigger clubs are looking at him soon, really, to bring him in as manager. Surely, you'd think.
And speaking of random cups, Danny Redmond went out the Champions League for TNS, lost 2-1 on aggregate to Linfield. And Danny Cairns went out the Europa Conference League for Larne. They lost 1-0 on aggregate to St Joseph's from Gibraltar. That's a big result for the Gib team.
It is. Well, there's a few, isn't it? How's the team that Nathan Reedy was managing getting on? Who were they?
Not very well. Not very well.
Did they get knocked out? Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Step too far, but
yeah.
But no, that's it this week. No doubt a few more transfers will pop up in the next week or two.
We mentioned Dean Henderson last time, didn't we, going to Forest? I'm sure we did. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure we did, so he's already picked up an injury.
I saw that,
Oh, it just never works, that one, is it? So like we said, Jared Branthwaite is the new Dean Henderson. Let's just think about it that way, shouldn't we? Right. Well, that's it again. At the end of this episode then, Dan. Fitted a good hour in there, so that's pretty good stuff. Thanks once again to our sponsors, the London branch, for their support this season. Really appreciate that. In terms of upcoming episodes, we've got a busy week coming up, haven't we, Dan, hopefully? So everyone is always looking forward to this one. It's our season preview episode is the next one. So we look through all the League Two clubs, basically, have a little chat about how they're getting on. Probably zoom through the ones who finish in mid-table because no one really cares. Talk about the ones who we think are going to struggle and the ones who are going to be up near the top. We'll do our predictions, which once again will be terrible. And I'm promising myself I'm not going to predict Salford to do well this season.
I don't think anyone is. Stockport are going to be the new Salford, aren't they?
I have a feeling when no one's going to predict them to do well, and Salford are going to do well after we've said that. It'll be typical. But yeah, so we're going to try and obviously we're going to do that on Sunday afternoon. We're going to record. It should be out on Monday morning, hopefully, if I can get it together quickly enough. We've also got a very special episode coming up, but we're not going to tell you exactly what it is yet. But we've got an interview lined up. Hopefully, we're just trying to make times fit with this person. Yeah, but if we can, this one will hopefully be out either Wednesday or Thursday is what I'm hoping for. Yeah. Not 100%, but it'll be an absolute belt if we can really get it tied down. It'll be really, really worth getting done. And then obviously we've got the first episode of the season, haven't we, Dan?
Yeah, which we'll probably do on Thursday to be out Friday as normal.
Yeah, I think the idea is Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, around about then we'll record and be out Friday morning. So looking forward to the Crawley game. I'm going to have to track down a Crawley fan to talk to right now. Hopefully one that's not a crypto bro as well. So that's the game. And what we'll do is we'll have a look whether we tie in the Shrewsbury preview. That, or we can maybe fit in a really quick preview for the Shrewsbury game maybe on Sunday. Possibly in the Cup. What I might do with that one, actually, I might speak to my old friend Dale, who's a Shrewsbury fan. Actually, it might be one worth doing. So that's the plan coming up for the next week or so. So what we're hoping as well, we're going to get a chance to speak to a United fan who's written a book, aren't we, Dan? That's one of our next aims as well. Yeah.
All the listeners will remember Tim Pocock, who used to do the Jack Ashurst fanzine. He has brought a book out, his memoirs following Carlisle. It's in the club shop now, and I think he's been in the News and Star and Radio Cumbria this past week or so. And we're just going to sort out getting him on for a chat in one of the next couple of weeks' episodes. So,
yeah, fantastic. We can get him on and just have a chat about all his times following the Blues. Also, I remember getting the... I think it was a copy of Sojak. Where's my shirt? Sorry, I can't get my words right there. I think I got a copy of that one in the first game I went to, the game against Bury. All I remember is, and I can't find it, it's probably in a box somewhere with Mum and Dad's. It had a picture of the Edward Munch's Scream picture. That was on the front of it. I can't remember if it was that or it was a copy of the Cumberland Sausage. It was one of the two. It used to be some belting fanzines back in the day, didn't they? Probably the one's called, you can remember because you wrote for a couple of them, didn't you?
There was Watching from the Warwick.
Yeah. North of Watford, was it?
North of Watford, South of Heaven, who merged with a Cumberland Sausage. Yeah. There was The Foxy Ferret, The Adventures of Olga the Fox. Yeah. Land of Sheep and Glory that I was involved in. There was a few.
Yeah, God, it's mad, isn't it?
Bygone days.
That's what podcasts do now, though, isn't it? We're the ones who fill the void. It's the new millennia, the new technology and all that. There you go. Dan, thanks once again for joining me this week. Really appreciate it. Mike will be back for the season preview episode at the weekend. Going to see whether we can fit him in for the first episode. It might be a struggle with his shift times and stuff like that, but Mike is going to be at that game with me, so maybe me and Mike will do a little bit on the day of the game, possibly, and we'll get that on the weekend. So there you go. So new season nearly upon us. If you're going to the Morecambe game this weekend, enjoy it. I'm not going to be there. You're not going to be able to make it, are you, Dan?
No, I don't think so. No.
I'm going to the Midlands instead. I'm going to go and watch West Bromwich Albion against Hertha Berlin. Mainly because I've never been to the Hawthorns, so I want to tick it off, basically. So looking forward to finding one of those pubs that are also curry houses to have my tea as well after the game. I think Johnny's
real German teams have already started the league campaign.
Oh yeah, the ones in the second division who didn't get promoted at the end of last season.
Won last week though.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah. They need to go up in first or second Hamburg, don't they? Or they're knackered. There you go. All right, everyone. Thanks very much for listening. Thanks for joining us. And we're back next week. Up the Blues.
Up the Blues. Time